future is, I want everyone to close their eyes, and I want you to imagine the future. Paint a picture in your mind about what the future looks like. What are you holding? What does the environment look like around you? Paint that picture and hold it for a minute. Now open your eyes. So when I picture the future, the things that I'm holding, the things that I see, has a lot to do with technology. And the reason this is I'm a sci-fi lover. So I watch a lot of sci-fi movies, I read a lot of sci-fi books, I'm a fan. And those are preconceived notions that model what my future looks like. Many sci-fi authors have predicted much of the technology that we use today. Mobile devices, robotic arms, as well as free video games. So let me tell you a few examples of some movies and TV shows where the technology that we use today has been predicted accurately. So in 1964, one of the first episodes of Star Trek, Captain Kirk was using a device in his hand, and he was talking through subspace to the Enterprise ship. This device was called the communicator, and the way it looked was very similar to a flip cell phone that you may have had or may have owned, or many of us know what it looks like. And the flip phone pretty much did what it does today, is the voice travels through space, regardless of where Kirk was in the universe, back to the ship. Another thing that the device did was a locator functionality, much like GPS. The inventor of the cell phone, Dr. Martin Cooper, actually said that that Star Trek episode and the communicator device influenced his invention of the cell phone. So there's one thing that the communicator didn't do that cell phones do today, and that is to access Facebook. So not all predictions are true. Another communication device from Star Trek was something of an earpiece which communicated to Star Trek's headquarters. So 2 years later, 1966, there is Lieutenant Aurora has this large earpiece coming out of her ears, this long. And it works the exact same way as Bluetooth ear devices work today. Now, when Bluetooth devices came out about 10 years ago, they were about that big, right? Very clunky. So very similar to the design of Star Trek episode in the 60s. And now, with the advancement of technology, these Bluetooth earbuds now are the size of really a penny, and they go in your ear. So technology has advanced in that way as well. Another example, a movie in 1980, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back. There's a famous scene, regardless if you've seen the movie or not, where Luke Skywalker is battling a villain, Darth Vader, with his lightsaber. You have these red and green lightsabers going at it, and then towards the end of the fight, Luke gets his arm severed, and he's armless. And at the same time, Darth Vader reveals that he's his father, but that's for another story. It's really complicated. But in the next scene, you see that Luke has an arm, but it's not his flesh and blood arm. It's a robotic arm. So fast forward to the future, a few years ago, at the University of Pittsburgh, a woman, actually a quadriplegic woman, had microelectrodes implanted into her brain, and through her thoughts, she was controlling a robotic arm. Another prediction that has been accurate. And then lastly, another movie in 1989, Back to the Future 2. It's about a main character that travels through space. In part 1, he goes to the past. In part 2, he goes to the future. And in this future scene, it happens to be 2015, ironically. But back in the 80s, he's used to a certain environment, and now he's in the environment of 2015, the one that we know. But it looks a lot different in the movie. And he's walking through and he sees something very familiar. It's a diner. He walks in, it has the decor of the 80s, it has a lot of technology of the 80s. And he sits down because he's taken back about where he is in the future, and he sees a couple kids over there trying to figure out how to play an arcade game. So he walks over to this arcade game because he knows this arcade game. It's Wild Gunman, and he's actually a top performer. So he shows the kids how to play, picks up the joysticks, boom, 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 gets a high score, he's impressed with himself, looks back, but the kids aren't. They say, that's lame, because you have to use your hands, and they leave. Interesting thing about that is there's the Wii, there's the Xbox nowadays where you don't use your hands. So right now I see a trend in modern sci-fi. So of the sci-fi pieces that I've seen, there has been not so much focus on technology, but more focus on how not to build a society. And just to give you an example of this, a book that now turned movie has come out called Divergent. And Divergent is about a futuristic human caste system. And then there's also a book turned movie called Children of Men, and it's about human infertility. And then there's another book turned movie about, I believe it is human, it's about human periodicity, which essentially means, which it's from Cloud Atlas, which essentially it's about individuals preying on other individuals, groups on groups, nations on nations, and tribe on tribe. Then lastly, even an animated film called Wall-E is about how human reacts to robot independence. So as you see, sci-fi can tell us a lot about what the world will look like. And maybe some of these predictions will come true. A famous sci-fi author once said that in science fiction, you dream. But to me, what the future is, it really represents hope. And there's only one thing that's stronger than fear, and that's hope. So, here's the secret. How do you become fearless? You dream. Thank you.